I cannot help but develop it. Yeah, they told me to give the fuck up like a celibate, but their advice is irrelevant. I took an elephant under the precedent, shattered the standard of excellence. It's present tense, can't make the money you never spend. When I make more money, they raise the rent, but can't take my money without a head. So I wash my hands of it. No use in throwing a tantrum now. I believe something substantial, looking for something that can't be found. When it's time to play, try something. Safe trip as you fade out. I just think it's so played out. Why they so loud? They just run their mouth but still know nothing about it. They just say whatever. They just say whatever now. They just say whatever. They just say whatever now. Say whatever. Say whatever. They just say whatever now. They just say what.
Say whatever, say whatever happens. I pray to saint whatever, whenever the path get tragic. When I need a map to wherever the saints gather to practice magic. Marching in like I'm the captain, like I know what's happening. Like I'd have what they lacking and they need it badly. They just say whatever, I just say in facts like I'm saying factually.
So what you saying actually? What you saying, bro? What you trying to say? I don't know, bro, say it. Say what you mean.
I don't fuck with amphibians. Pick a side, don't be ridiculous. Get a life, quit with the silly shit. No talking to me if it's silliness. No talking to me on the internet. Let's chop it up live like a real event. Honestly, we could be friends, but you threaten my friends, and that's not what friends do. So I'll have to end you.
I can tip the scale, lift the tell down. Even if I fell, at least I got to feel something.
Spark with no filament, out in the dark feeling villainous. You think you got me, you killing it, but this only part of the trilogy. I wanna do something differently. I wanna start making history. Get out the pot that they pissing in. Switch the position and kick them in. We got the numbers, we got the trends. We got the hearts, we got the friends. We say whatever we want, they just say whatever they can.
They just say whatever. They just say whatever now. They just say whatever. They just say whatever now. Say whatever. Say whatever. They just say whatever now. They just say whatever.
Like Dwight D, I caught lightning with the kite key. Saw the light beam, up there I saw others like me. Ooh, she bad, she dancing Michael Jackson. I don't dance, but I walk on the moon like I was NASA.
I've been fine without you, I could walk 1,000 miles. When they start to doubt you, it's how you know it's worth your while. It's been a long time since Barcelona. It's been a long time since I've known you. Eyes on me like I got fans, I feel handsome. Eyes on me all the time, yeah. Hold my life for ransom in my hands, but I'm in my head. Understand that I don't stand a chance.
That's not me giving up, but don't ask me to give a fuck. I keep it simple cause we got
That's a
one
little
life
rougher.
to live it
A little
up.
rougher here.
Do she really
I
walk?
do agree with
Oh,
you.
she really does. No, it's love, cause her touch feel like $1,000,000. Racks on me, so that's on me. Put the stacks on her, now she dance on me. Pack on me, and it's gas on me. Got the racks on me, so that's on me. Racks on me, so that's on me. I got racks on me, so that's on me. Racks on me, I got racks on me. I got racks on me, so that's on me.
Perfect. Alright, yo. What's up, what's up, what's up? What's up to the world? It's me, AZ. Back again like I never left. That's not what I say. What was my line? Damn, I'm forgetting it. What's up to the world? It's me, AZ, yes, I, and I. We are here. Live for another episode of The Walk. Hurricane Hunkerdown. That's what we're calling this one. Yeah, call me Hurricane Hunkerdown. So I do something a little live stream, you know. Wasn't doing anything anyways. We're just been sitting here gaming. Get some content. We got a few videos you can watch. I don't know though, the game's changed since I was regularly streaming, where they're so strict these days with like content ID. You can't even react to stuff anymore. So we'll see how it goes here. Wonder, could I? Invert polarity. Okay. What does this do? Nah, right? That's not gonna do it. It's not gonna help. If I could just lower the pitch, right? What is this? Oh, interesting. Interesting. Hold on. Oh, wow. Look at that. Okay. All right. Hold on. So now if I play something. Nah. Fuck, how do I close it now? What the fuck?
I got to play Spider-Man 2 and I was invited by Sony to
that's
attend this
fine.
event
That's
in
fine.
LA. They
We
did
don't
not
need it.
cover my flights or accommodation. I paid my own way for this trip, which is what I always prefer to do when I can. This is not a sponsored video in any way, shape, or form, but I will admit one notable bias.
Love your skill up. No homo. Alright. What did I want to watch? Alright, we're gonna watch Breaking Points. Haven't watched them in a long time. They were prime stream content, man. I'll tell you. That was my go-to, so you know. Let's go back to our roots for a second. Hopefully this won't get claimed. Let's see. Let's see what happens.
We're here
Bing,
with
bing, bong,
Breaking
bong,
Points,
bong,
which is
bing.
a podcast. I think you've all been told that. And we're really going to do a focus group. And what that means
I really
is a
need my
discussion.
third screen.
It's a
That would be
discussion
so
about
helpful.
stuff. I think you all know what we might be here to speak about. It's New Hampshire. It's the autumn before an election year. I was saying to these guys, we did have a fight once in the UK. So, you have to make sure that you beat the good people of Britain by not having a fight. First name, what you do for a living, where you get your news from.
Okay, James. I work in IT.
Looks like everything's coming through.
And
okay.
I get my news
Coming
from
through.
podcasts or the internet, like a news site like a CNN or NBC.
Yeah. Any
Can
particular
you turn that up a
podcasts?
little bit? Yeah, okay. I like that. I like that volume.
538 podcasts.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Dana. I'm a full-time homemaker, and I get my news from like a daily email briefing.
Right. Which one?
These are real
morning.
people, real, hot-blooded, hardworking Americans. Let's see what the people have to say.
Brew.
Hi, my name is Neve.
Oh, she's excited. Okay. I like the
I
energy coming
am
from
a
Neve.
homemaker, homeschooler, and I get most of my news shared amongst other moms and folks in
Facebook groups. We like that.
non-mainstream media type groups.
Neve is not a mainstream
Can
gal.
you give an example of any of those?
Like health freedom groups or folks who are
Freedom. Anything with freedom in the
Morning,
name is good, actually.
opposing
I've been told that.
mainstream media.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I'm a business analyst, and I get my news from mostly the internet, different websites.
YouTube, this is purely tobacco.
NBC, CNBC, Fox News, and whatever the one that pops up on my computer that I don't even ask for. It shows me the headlines.
Okay.
And also when I check my email, the headlines there.
My name is Debbie, and I am a homemaker, part-time teacher, and I get my news from my husband.
Oh boy.
But I do
Hey,
watch,
yo,
Fox
hey,
News and
yo.
Thanks so much, Debbie. Is that Tucker Carlson on X now? Or?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Gotcha.
Jim, I'm in advertising sales, and I get most of my news from either Glenn Beck, Sean Hannity, and the two guys at Noon.
You dumb
I
fuck.
Hi, my name is John. I'm
This
a
is, dude,
retired,
it's crazy, man. When I watch shit like this, it's like, I definitely, I live in a bubble, right? I live in a bubble that I've created for myself that in order for me to love humanity, I have to kind of ignore it a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, there's just all these, I forget how much, like, there's just really just dumb fucks walking around everywhere, like, you just at, like, Dunkin' Donuts, and you're in line, and the dude next to you is this guy, and he's a dumb fuck. That's, it's like, oh, shit. They're out there.
service technician, and I get my news from Newsmax.
Hello, I'm Alexis. I'm an administrator for a state agency, and I get my news primarily from the internet, local TV stations, as well as national ones, primarily WMUR, as well as the local Concord Monitor and other local newspapers.
What's the main issue in your mind that will determine how you vote?
I wrote down smaller government / local control, looking for a candidate that's interested in making the federal government smaller. And
Why?
I put down the
Why,
economy
bro?
and abortion.
Jesse, you always got to ask why. Like, why do you want us, like, why? Why do you want a smaller government? Because if it's a government of the people, for the people, you're saying you want less power when you say that, right? But what they actually mean, though, is that I don't want the majority to rule. I don't want to do what's best for everyone. I want to do what's best for me. And I have more control on the local side. So I want a smaller, big government that looks out for, like, working people, everyday people, people who are struggling, people who need some kind of communal support. And I'm going to just say, no, we need less of that, more of me, more local, where I have control. I can make it benefit me. I don't have to give a fuck about anyone else. Like, that's what they really mean when they say that.
I wrote down freedom, like
And that's true of so many fucking conservative talking points, right? It's they have, like, the catchphrase they say that sounds, like, innocuous at best, and, like, no, at worst it sounds innocuous. At best it actually maybe sounds like admirable. But then you push a little deeper. You're like, well, why do you think that? And it's like, oh, I actually just am a piece of shit, and I hate people in general, and I think we should make the world worse. That way it's a little better for me.
personal freedom, parental freedom, and medical freedom.
The economy, border protection, education, and also making our federal government a little smaller.
I wrote down Constitution of Rights, the right to life, and the economy.
So I wrote down the Constitution of the U.S., protection of it, and also a right to life for the unborn.
What do you
I've got,
mean,
securing
bro? The
borders,
protection of
oil
the
independence, and
Constitution.
term limits.
Finances and economics, as well as reproductive rights.
I think there needs to be more at the state level because the states have their own sort of individual even cultures and personalities, and to have the federal government speak for all as much as they do, I think has gotten a little bit out of hand.
At our big government level, that they are not representing the people anymore.
You can read all the bills that they pass, but they're 200 pages long, and they just slip in stuff.
That's the thing about it. They hate America. They hate America. They like their little fiefdom that they have chalked out for themselves, where they feel comfortable, they feel in control, and they hate the idea of America. They hate of spreading freedom to everybody. They hate of spreading that comfort to everybody because they feel less special. They're comfortable. All these people in this, they're all doing okay. They're fine. They have their comfy little lives that they've set up where they're stable and they feel set, but they probably don't feel great, but they can feel better because they know so many people are doing worse, and they can blame the Democrats and they can say, oh, well, these people, they're godless, and that's, they kind of deserve it, so I'm just better, and that's why I'm living my happy life.
That shouldn't be in there. Like the bill,
just mean, vindictful people. That's what's so funny.
Should be what the bill is intended for, and not slip something in so you can fund your pet project.
Write it down, the name of the person, the name of the candidate who you're currently supporting.
Yeah,
I would say Trump.
Fighting global warming.
And
It's
the reason being
cute little
is
pet
because I would
project
look
you got
back
there.
at his presidential days and all that was accomplished.
Oh my god.
And what America was like, and then I would fast
I'm
forward.
fucking with this skin. We're
to where
going here.
America is
We're going
now,
with this one.
and I wouldn't want to keep going that way.
Trump, there we go. Yes, sorry. Yeah. And the reason
Oh,
being
sorry.
is his past accomplishments. We did in 4 years, and he does support the working class a lot more, I think, than the other party does right now. And also what he's fighting now, what he's going through the political firestorm of all these affidavits, as he said, I'm fighting for you because if this can happen to me, it will happen to you. If you say the wrong thing, you're in trouble today.
Trump, definitely, because he needs to put us back where we were with oil independence, secured borders, great economy, just looking out for us. He gave the military a raise when they hadn't had one for decades, or years, I should say. And he made the VA better than what it was. And he needs to take over where he left off,
bud.
which is making us
take over
where
the
we
world.
were at, especially with the oil independence.
You're gonna hate me, but I can't remember the guy's name from South Dakota. I was looking into some of his ideas, and I would think that we should still stay with a Republican, but not necessarily Trump. I'd like to see a little bit more of rational thinking come through. While I like how Trump had some ideas that were great, and
Becky's
his
irrational.
financial abilities were
She's a
leading us
rationalist.
in the right direction. Some
She only
of his
believes in the true
changes that
things,
he
not
put
the
in
not the
while he was
lies.
in term directly affected
Just
my
good
work.
good true things,
agree with
not
some of them.
bad
Bergen, is
lie
that who you're
things. That's her. That's what she stands for.
I'm currently undecided, but I would be leaning towards Governor DeSantis.
And main reason why?
This guy's like a cartoon character, bro. He's literally like if you wanted dumb fuck Republican #1 for your movie. I think, well, I just think, I'm undecided currently. It's a really big decision for me, so, like, dude.
Experience, all the things he's accomplished in a very purple state.
Ay,
Get
ay,
things
ay.
done. Had the largest victory in recent memory for Florida, even though it's a divided state, so he can get things done. And I just don't think he's quite as divisive or antagonistic as President Trump would be.
I'm considering Vivek for my vote. I think he's sort of an outsider, and I don't think he has any political ties that are going to influence everything. I think.
No, of course not.
That's what I'm considering right now.
Leaning to Trump because he isn't a politician. He is a businessman, and his list of accomplishments was tremendously good for our country. My main hang-up is that he pushed through the sort of COVID things, the shots and whatnot.
I honestly don't know yet. I really don't. I agree with the warp speed. Kind of did it for me, so I'm not 100% for Trump. But DeSantis, I see some good points, but I'm not really positive.
She's so upset right now that this other woman's like okay with the medical Nazis that have taken over this country.
Somebody out of nowhere.
She doesn't even know. She's
Well,
so
I pick up
ignorant.
on
Oh my god.
Why you're sort of leaning away from Trump?
I think we'll have a much better shot of winning without Trump at the top of the ticket. I honestly think if Trump isn't on top of the ticket, we're going to lose all the state races in New Hampshire because he's very unliked, very unlikable. I appreciate all the things he did when in office. I think he did do a good job, but he's not a likable person. He's not a great person. And I think it would have a devastating effect on Republicans across the country to have him at the top of the ticket. I think we would feel that everywhere.
Dude, honestly, shout out to him. That's mad funny because that's actually the most
Along
like
with the
coherent
vaccine,
analysis I've heard so far.
I agree with the vaccine. I never got vaccinated myself. it's a free choice to do
Wow,
so. I
dude.
know Trump
You're so
did say,
brave, bro.
I would not force to vaccine anybody. I do believe that Trump was given some bad advice.
You're God's little soldier.
And I forget the other
Proud
one
of you,
that
bud.
was there. There's a lot of manipulation.
His dick
going
just got a
on
little hard
that
saying
the
that.
media
I
would
didn't
not
take
be
the
truthful
vaccine.
about, but that is a lot what took place.
All
and
right,
he
bro.
got some bad advice.
Okay.
Well, there's many things that I agree with.
That was your right. That was never not your right.
There are
No one
some
tied you
things,
down.
like, I think
Yo,
a lot of times he
that's a funny thing. They act so tough with their like, oh, that was my right. It's like, yes, it was. No one ever took that from you. Not even like even close to. Like there were some mandates that said, oh, if you don't want to get vaccinated, just maybe, you know, take a test occasionally. Fucking cowards, bro.
He speaks without thinking, and I think that that's a detriment to himself. But I do think that the
I'll get down
media
to the safe. I
warps
haven't gone to
so
this one.
much of what is truly going on, and I feel like that's a huge problem. This in many areas, like with many of these candidates. I mean, it's hard to know the true person underneath,
Oh, it's just a
because
door.
it depends. If you listen to CNN, it tells you one thing. If you listen to Fox News, it tells you a different thing. How can we make America great again? Because it's not great right now. It's not great. And I've got 6 kids, and I'm watching them have to grow up in this, and that worries me about what they're going to have to live with. If some
That's what's so funny though, is like she's saying the right things and just applying the analysis completely wrong. Because what is the commonality between Fox News and CNN? What are the through lines? Where do they agree? What or where do they both lie? And maybe in different ways, but where do they both lie too is important. Because you start to see that they lie along the interest of capital. They're both driven by the interests of capital, of big pharmaceutical industry, of military industrial complex. It's not, you know, the most informed of the propagandists will, if people start to see, you know, they'll make that tie too, but then they'll say something like, oh, it's the Jews. They all have Jews that work there. It's like, okay, well, they all have Christians too, bud. So, I mean, you know, what are we saying here? But that's where her analysis fails. Like, yeah, she's right. They do tell you different things on different networks. They both lie. They both agree on certain things too, though. And they're both there to spread a narrative that benefits capital. That's what I would just want to shake these people and tell them, like, yo, you're not entirely wrong, you know. You're getting diverted at the last mile. You're stumbling on the last hurdle.
somebody doesn't start shaking the boots somewhere.
He's a businessman, and he has a lot of hard back on him. And that's why he says some of the
Hard
things
back.
that he does, because he's a businessman. But he does right
Guy's
by
from
the
Boston.
people. He could walk away anytime he wants with all his money, but he's still
can't-
fighting
it's-
to
it's
come
fucked
back
up.
and
I
say,
live here. I can't
have
do a
to finish
Boston
the
accent
job. I
very
have to
well.
make us great again. When
It's
he
my
put the
greatest
tariffs on
shame.
China, he was bringing jobs back. He's doing the
Bringing
border.
jobs
So,
back.
that's why I like the guy. And yes, he doesn't say a lot of presidential
He's a
things
good
that
kid.
He should be saying, but he also says a lot of things that people are thinking, but they won't come right out and say it. So let's call it what it is.
I've seen you.
What is that? No, elaborate, please. I'll do that. No, what are those things that you people can't say? Say them right now. You can say them. Say it, pussy. Say it. You won't.
I'm baffled by these arguments. I mean, he got bad advice. You want a president who got bad advice? That's really a cop out. But I think.
All right, but
ballots are here to
okay,
stay.
all right,
So if
yeah,
you're-
all
so
right, that's my boy.
The media trumping up COVID.
Okay.
And
This is
bringing
my
COVID
favorite
into
guy
the
now.
story. You think that helps President Biden to have a COVID outbreak on his watch? That definitely does not help him. So I think could Trump beat him? Maybe.
Could Trump? Oh shit, we got a
all
secret
agree that
liberal.
Biden
He's a
is
lib.
totally
Okay,
incompetent,
he's a
I
lib.
think.
Confirmed.
And Trump already lost to him. Now maybe
He's a
it was
plant.
a rigged election, but it shouldn't have even been close, right? Biden is totally incompetent. He shouldn't even win 5 states. So why don't we choose a candidate who doesn't come with all the baggage and all the issues and all the media hating him and all that, and let's get a fresh voice in there that can really. Whoever is the Republican nominee should wipe the floor with Biden, not be in a
Honestly,
situation
this guy's like one election cycle away from being a radical leftist. He's so close, bro. He's like, come on, guys, can't we do something that's not completely fucking stupid and embarrassing? And the Republican Party's like, no, shut up, Liv. Like, come on, guys, please, can't. Come on, please. He's terrible. Trump sucks, dude. Come on. Yeah, he's gonna watch what happens in this next election cycle and come out a changed man. I respect it. Alright, here's the question. Here's the real question of the hour. Huge play. Although now I don't have... Okay. Not a huge play, actually, because I'm still just breaking this. That's fine. It's all part of the plan. God's plan. Fuck. Are you kidding me? Well, now I need this to get out of here because the storm's about to run in on me. I'm fucked. Actually, no, there is a... Okay, alright. No, take this. Let's go. Actually, I probably don't need this, but that's fine. Can't touch this.
Where a mail-in ballot or a media thing could swing it. It shouldn't even be that close. You know, don't leave it to the refs, right?
The candidates have said it. Have said, can Donald Trump beat Joe Biden?
Problem is the fair election. So here we go again.
Oh my God, dude! Literally, this
COVID, supposedly with the masking and
that last dude
it's the same play
only
they
one
did
with
4
even
years
a
ago.
half a
play
brain
the,
active
mail-in
right now.
ballots, and the cheating's going to take place, and you know it's going to be the same scenario again.
Like, I work in the schools, and a couple of the teachers were like, you know, already, COVID's coming in, the masks, some of the schools are already going online, some of the colleges are getting shut down. Like, it's like a deja vu.
It's happening
Think about it,
again.
okay? So the mail-in ballot's gotta come. Like,
Oh my
do I
God.
think he can beat him? Absolutely, if it's fair.
So you think that COVID stuff you think is linked to the election? And who's doing that? Who's orchestrating?
Of course, it's all connected.
Go on, Jim.
The Democratic Party. It was an article written by, I forget what the news magazine.
She was gonna say
but it
Jews.
was a liberal news magazine
Oh yeah,
that
yeah,
came out and
them. Yeah,
basically
no.
said
What he
it was
said.
planned to have the election
shit.
go the way it was, and a lot of Republicans went along with that plan because they wanted to keep the swamp, they wanted to keep the dirty politics, and some of the Republicans are involved with that.
You can't fool this guy. He's
It was
onto
a
you, bro.
planned event, and they used
onto
COVID as
the-
a way to push it in.
With the pandemic.
Again, like the pandemic. Jesus Christ. All right, you know, nah, I'll let
We
him
see it
cook.
coming again, and there's a lot of writing on the wall.
Alex Jones was
I
right.
think there's a lot of money exchanged.
I'm joking, YouTube. He's not. He's never been right ever.
Biden, I think I could probably beat Biden at this point. The guy's stumbling around, forgets where he is, can't remember his words, doesn't know what he's talking about. And so I wonder, like, really who's running. We put the name Biden on it, but who's really holding those puppet strings? And can Trump win over those?
Put your hands
It's
up if you
crazy.
think the 2020 election.
Maybe just don't even vote. Yeah, it's probably not even worth voting.
I'm repeating what some of you guys have said back to me.
You
here.
know, they already won, really.
This idea that COVID is coming back up again. Put your hands up if you think that's a deliberate plan to try and basically stitch the next election up for the Democrats.
It's all about fear. And that's what it is. It's all about fear. Scare everybody.
He's not-
Stay indoors,
yeah,
wear
he's
your
not
mask.
afraid, though.
COVID's coming back. I'm here to help. It's fear.
It's control to divide people.
Well, if you think that's the case, you know, I'll ask the question again. You know, you've got at least 4 of you nodding there. You know,
Oh my God,
don't know
dude!
about the
COVID
exact
COVID just absolutely broke people, man. I can't believe we're still talking about this. You know, the truth is, we shouldn't be talking about it because we should be in sync with it by now. That, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that COVID went away and that's why we shouldn't be talking about it. It's that it really never left. It did kind of leave the media for a while, and you know, obviously it left public policy for a while. All the mandates ended. I didn't have to do some weird app sign in every morning for work to verify if I have COVID or not. You know, like, all of that stuff ended, but now we're actually starting to see some serious problems again. And oh shit. And that's got these people freaking out, and that's why we're talking about it again. We shouldn't be talking about it because we should have never really stopped like talking about it. There should have been a low level noise, a white noise in the background this whole time, and we just kind of be used to it now. You know, be some people. I'm not saying everyone should just agree with it. That's obviously unrealistic, but I think, you know, the rabble could have died down. Man, we got one of them.
But, you know, repeating back what you said to me, you know, put your hands up if you do think that there's at least some connection between COVID coming back and the next election being rigged for the Democrats. So you had a bit of a hesitation over COVID on Trump. Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, I was all for Drain the Swamp, but as soon as Warp Speed went in, I was working in healthcare, and it did affect me and everyone else I work with. I'm no longer in healthcare, thankfully, but it's really changed my mind on a lot of talk and where was the support to push through the vax and to force it. I still think it should be a choice, but
what did she say?
He had a big hand in that.
Neve?
She doesn't like that. Okay, I thought she
I
didn't.
agree with Jennifer. I feel
Okay.
that he should have actually stopped it. That he could have, even if Biden would have gone and changed it all. I think that he shouldn't have allowed it to be pushed through at all.
Age limits. Some people have talked about age limits in public office, whether it's in the Senate, whether it's in the presidential race.
You know, it's like kids in the candy store. They make money for themselves. They go in. They don't have much money. They come out. They're millionaires. I don't even know where they get their money from, but they end up becoming millionaires, and they vote themselves raises all the time. Ridiculous. You know, and you know, as far as term limits go, they're the ones that vote for it, where it should be the people who vote for term limits, not them.
And what offices are you thinking about term limits for? Is that where
The
you
main
want term
government
limits?
itself in Congress, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Is there anyone in particular you might have in mind there?
All of them. All of them.
Yeah,
I just think
he's
career
not playing around.
politicians, like you said, they go in.
That's a serious chap
become
right
all
there.
millionaires, multi-millionaires.
Just there shouldn't be anybody in there over 50 years, you know, making their way to the top after just being in there for life.
Is that an age thing or a how long people have been around thing?
I think it's how long they've been around. I think that people are just so entrenched in the way that they're doing things, that they've been doing it so long, they can't see other ways of doing it.
I just feel like it becomes routine. Like it's just a routine, and
Amen.
I feel like the voice.
If there's any bipartisan, I'm right there with him on this. No jokes, no insults, just solidarity on this issue. Those are my brothers and sisters on this one issue. And that is kind of crazy, actually. That's probably the most bipartisan thing we could find. I don't know who could possibly disagree with that unless you actually are in Congress or like benefit from somebody you know in Congress and you don't want them to have to leave. Like, there's just no argument for that. Get the fuck out of there, please. You don't have a right to do this forever. It's crazy. I mean, you know, if not, this is a crazy thing, right? Like, people talk shit about founding fathers a lot, but maybe I'm propagandized or something. I don't know. Anything's possible. But we would not have had term limits on the president. In fact, well, we really didn't. It was more of just a kind of a trend that was set by George Washington choosing to step down. He probably could have been president, king for life, you know? At which point would be enough time to kind of like solidify power and indoctrinate into like, you know, oh, it's just my kid's gonna take over when I die, you know, my son, and then we're just right back where we started. But you know, he made that choice, and it had a reverberating impact until what was it? I think until FTR, and then they made it official. Look at all these bots, bro. Look at these artificially unintelligent beings. We'll snipe them.
Voices of the people, even though they say that they're listening to the voices of the people, it would be a different world if they truly were listening to the voices of the people.
You got Nancy Pelosi who's going for another 4 more years today. I mean, my goodness. I don't think there should be age limits, but let's look at their cognitive abilities. That's, you know, and of course that's all becomes a judgmental issue. I realize that, but
Yeah, bro. Maybe just age is
because some people who
better.
are older have better wisdom because of years of experience. So we don't want to start limiting their age. But,
Yeah, the people who agree with
there's
me.
maybe some kind of test they could take. You know, the ones who's going to define what the test limits are.
People need to know their boundaries, and I don't think that we should judge them and say, oh, you're this age, you can't do that, because we don't understand. But I also think that if you look worldwide, as you get older, you do forget things, and you do, like,
Yeah,
that's
you know,
just
I
a known
forgot
fact.
people's ability to see themselves in others. Anyone who is kind of that age is going to be like, wow, what? I mean, I'm not. I could still be a congressperson. I'm smart enough, so. Sad.
Fact, but I feel like taking on the responsibility of a president or a senator, like, I do think age is a factor.
Does anyone disagree?
A bit, just because I know some elderly that are sharp as tacks, and then some young people that have no common sense. So I think I would like it to be able to be a case-by-case basis, but no, but they won't always know their limits. Not everybody stops driving when they should stop driving.
I don't think you need age limits because everybody's different at different ages. The question is, why do Senator Feinstein and McConnell keep getting elected when they're not competent? And it's because the entrenched incumbency makes it very, very difficult to get somebody out of there. Because once you have your connections, you have the fundraising, you have years and years and years in there, the Congress does not turn over like it should. You have people in there.
They don't think any deeper than that, right? Which is kind of funny. It's like, why does it only take money to get people deeply entrenched in office? Well, what do they use that money to buy? They use it to buy ads. They use it to buy influence. And then you have to think about, like, well, why are people so easily, you know, are so easily influenced by ads and influential people? You know, it's like, it makes you kind of have to look at yourself and be like, well, I'm a people. Like, what is it about certain propagandist tactics that work on me, possibly? Sniper's so dirty.
For 50 years, even when they're not competent, because it's just too hard to beat them.
Who's in support of an age limit on the office of president? Okay.
I don't know, I think past 75, there should be a limit as far as that there goes. Just like voting, you have to be a certain age. But I think if we had term limits, whether they have it upstairs or not, they would be out. And whether it be 4 years or 8 years or 12 years, you know, they'd be gone. And it's good to have fresh new blood in there with fresh new ideas instead of keeping the same people over and over and over. It's a broken record.
Well, I like the idea of being in the 70s. You're past your retirement age, so you can still, like, understand that demographic, and you've been through pretty much all the stages of, you know, going to school, working, you know, raising families, and then retirement and grandkids and all that. So you have, like, a good idea of everybody at their own stage of life. But I'd say, like, mid-70s, like 75 or so is good. Like,
I really feel like 80. I don't know. I'm probably the outlier in that age, but I feel like that could work.
Put your hand up if you'd like to see some sort of cognitive test for those who run for office for president. Hands up if so.
Oh, torn, bro.
yeah.
Like I said earlier, how do you judge that? Because some things make a definition of what is cognitive and what isn't.
People have told me I'm cognitively impaired. It's not true. I'm actually smarter than everybody.
They want to do. And I've seen some people who, when you think of President Reagan, he was in his lower 80s when he left office. And
He
some of
was
his
the
better
best
years, his second
president
term.
we ever
Is
had.
Trump too old to be president, or is he still the right age?
I think he's the right age because he's got the ability to do far more than most 30-year-olds can do today. I mean, the guy just goes.
So I don't think, that's why I'm not sure age is significant. I think it's more about their capabilities. So I don't think he's too old.
What about Joe Biden? Put your hand up if you think Joe Biden's too old to be president. What do you think of these charges that are happening? How do we feel about those?
It's nothing but a lynching by the Democrats. They're so fearful of him that they're going
He
after
threw
him
that
left
lynch
and right.
out real.
And this has been going on for 7,
real
8 years.
quick. Okay.
So it's definitely just a lynching, and they're just afraid of him. That's why they're doing it. Otherwise, they'd leave him alone.
As far as the charges go, I mean, I don't have a huge stock in the government conspiracies being like, oh, this is all against me. It's a witch hunt. I'm like, no, it isn't. You broke the law. You're being indicted.
There
It's
it is.
surprising to me that
There's the person I was looking for. I've been seeing these polls where it's like, should Donald Trump be in prison, or did Donald Trump break the law? 70% yes. Should Donald Trump go to prison? 60% yes. And, would you vote for Donald Trump? 45% yes. With the others spread around, other candidates.
he's even a candidate. I'm all for having a Republican candidate to stop all this nonsense spending, but him is just, if you go to jail, just like everybody else, it makes it very clear that you are not above the law.
I think some of it is a witch hunt for sure, and I think some of it are legitimate claims, like him telling, the governor of Georgia or the Secretary of State of Georgia that he needs to find votes. I mean, the president calling someone like that is obviously trying to intimidate and influence the election, and that's something we should all stand up for and say that's wrong. I wish the charges weren't there because it makes folks like our friends here in the back row really solidify behind him, and he's been able to turn it into that sort of if I think someone back there said if they can come after me, they can come after you. Well, you're not intimidating secretaries of state, so you're probably not in trouble.
Dude, this guy's a legend, bro.
I think it's bad because I think it helps the Trump supporters circle around Trump and
just own it, dude. Is this fucking know who this is, bro? This is Mark Duplass in a fat suit. That's what's going on here. This is the dude from the league. Dude, is it actually him? Hold on. Bro. I need it from that side angle. Here we go. Here we go. Bro. Okay, he's got a little more of a hook to his nose, but they could. Well, no, that's kind of hard to hide. But they could be brothers, man.
and make it look like he's
Because he even talks it sounds just like him. That's crazy.
a victim, which I think he likes.
In one word, stupid. I just think it's stupid. I think they're wasting a ton of time, and yeah, they want the money, and so
They want the money. Dude, follow the money. That's what I always say. That's follow the money.
Welcome
They want
to the banana
a lot of
republic.
money in the arresting people for crimes game, I guess. I
of
don't know.
America. This is what other countries do to their candidates. I mean, yeah, if there are things that are done wrong, I think some of these things that were done wrong, they wouldn't make any issue out of it if it wasn't a Republican or Trump.
It's deliberately done by, I think, actually on a more global level to have a candidate who could fix America taken out.
The
So we can be
globalists.
kept under somebody's thumb.
Who's doing that?
Probably Bill Gates. I don't know.
If he does get convicted,
Probably Bill Gates. You know what? Agree on that one.
If he ends up in jail, would you still vote for him in the general election?
I would vote for him because other politicians have done their political duties from jail.
I definitely would vote for him. Right? You have to. You know,
wait,
just,
hold on.
everyone here
Other
agreed
what do you
that
mean?
something's going on crooked with what they're doing to him. So how can you believe anything that's going on in the courts or these affidavits or anything else they're going after?
I would vote for him, and I would hope that the truth would eventually come out.
So thinking ahead to that general election, let's assume it's Trump versus Biden, and Trump is fighting that election from jail. Would anyone here be put off voting for Trump for that reason?
I would vote for anybody who wasn't Biden, whether I like them or not.
I think that it would be odd to vote for somebody that's in jail, somebody who's supposed to be running our country. The commander-in-chief from jail doesn't make sense to me.
Put your hands up if you would vote for Trump in that election if he was in jail. Dana, you're a no. How come?
How can you govern from jail? Like, I think even if it was not a fair process, I just don't see how you can govern effectively when you're taken out of communication that way.
I mean, that's quite significant, right? We've got 4 registered Republicans or independents who might lean Republican in this room, and half of you are saying you wouldn't vote for Donald Trump if he was the nominee in a general election.
It doesn't matter what you say. You could say, what if he's dead, and they'd still vote for him. I mean, there is no line, right?
This guy
There
is
is no
so
line.
fucking base, bro.
Anyone want to come back on that?
How about if Biden's the nominee and he's in a hospital, a mental hospital, still going to vote for him then?
Didn't really address my question.
You don't know who this person is. I think you might be living under a rock. Donald
Oh
Trump.
shit, bro. He's gonna be thinking about that the rest of his life, bro. The time. Look at this freeze up. Look at this epic freeze up.
Biden's the nominee.
How about
Line, right? There is no line.
Anyone want to come back on that?
How about if Biden's the nominee
What if
and he's in a
no
hospital,
you?
a mental hospital?
What if
still gonna
that?
vote for him then?
Didn't really address my question.
You don't know who.
They hit him with the they hit him with the newsroom. I love that. Hold on.
Or in the Trump.
I mean, there is no line.
How about if Biden's the nominee and he's in a hospital, a mental hospital? Still going to vote for him then?
Didn't really address my question.
You don't know who this person is. I think you might have been living under a rock. Donald Trump. A word or a phrase to sum up how you feel.
I don't mean it rudely, but my word is loser.
I'm confused.
Oh.
He's not confused. I'm confused about how I feel.
Competent?
Competent, but I don't necessarily trust him.
Confident.
Unwavering.
Making America great again.
Unwavering.
Unhinged.
Vivek Ramaswamy.
Refreshing ideas, but not serious.
Optimistic.
Suspiciously fake.
I don't know enough.
VP for Trump.
He's well-spoken, but I don't trust him. He took money from Soros and denied it.
Oh,
So,
there it is.
I don't,
There it
I don't
is.
trust him.
He looks like and he acts like a clear politician, but he has no shot at.
That's an effect, dude.
being
He's done.
Nikki
He just
Haley.
deaded him.
Strong on foreign policy.
Consensus builder.
I'm afraid I'm completely uninformed. I don't know who she is.
Kind of naive.
I have to hear more about her, but
She's the threat. She is actually the threat.
very
She's the
liberal.
Hillary Clinton of their
Liberal
party.
leaning on social issues.
Rhino.
She seems competent, but I feel like she's not strong enough to be our president.
Mike Pence.
She got the weak sentiment
Serious,
of
has
a
good
woman.
temperament for the job.
More of the same.
Not necessarily a bad person, but not necessarily anything to offer.
A sellout.
confident.
Kind of likes to try to please everybody. And that can be an issue sometimes.
Rhino.
Ultra conservative.
Next one, guys. Tim Scott. Word or phrase? Tim Scott.
I like him, but when I see him speak, it just seems unremarkable. Like doesn't set himself apart.
He strikes me as honorable.
I want to say too new, but I don't. That's not quite what I want to say, but I can't think of any other words.
I'd say he needs more experience.
He's well-spoken. He'd make a great VP for Trump.
I think he's too strict on reproductive rights.
Chris Christie.
Tells it like it is.
What?
No way.
Yeah, Frank.
I think he's a phony.
Outspoken.
More liberal.
Rhino. He didn't have Trump's name to mention. He won't go anywhere. Let's not forget Bridgegate.
This dude's about to
Seems
cry.
like he's too inundated with
Jesus.
the Jersey Shore.
Ron DeSantis.
It's a strong record of getting things accomplished.
Experience.
Morally solid.
He's got a lot going for him.
My word was experienced.
Could you wait 4 more years?
He's well-spoken. I think he's hurt Florida in a lot of ways, too, but he's well-spoken, and he's a
Oh,
take-charge guy.
He certainly
The plot twist. Okay.
talk very well, but he's done some bad things for Florida that has directly hurt, you know, the elderly as well as some of the families down
What
there.
did he do?
Well, you know, you've got multiple candidates on that stage that said they wouldn't touch entitlements, including Trump. And any candidate that says they're not going to touch entitlements means that they're basically going to go into office and then leave America bankrupt. Social Security is going to go bankrupt in 10 years. Medicare is going to go bankrupt in 8. So the way we deal with it is we don't touch anyone's retirement or anyone who's been promised in, but we go to people like my kids in their 20s when they're coming into the system and we say the rules have changed. We change retirement age to reflect life expectancy. Instead of cost of living increases, we do it based on inflation. We limit the benefits on the wealthy, and we expand Medicare Advantage plans.
How do you feel about the argument she's made there? Anyone can come in here. How do you feel about the argument?
She's not wrong. We are going to run out of money for it, and there has to be other ways that we can look for pensions and such for people that have put in their time. It's not going to be there. My age group is not going to have it.
To me, it's just a scare tactic. They've been talking about this for decades. And something that she says to make the voters say, yeah, wow, she's right. I'm gonna do. But we got an increase, people at Social Security. I think it was last year sometime. And it was a good increase. And for her to be saying that, she needs to scare the people into voting for her.
The problem is with using Social Security on, you got a lot of illegal immigrants coming to this country.
Oh my God,
Who are
dude.
qualifying for some of these benefits, which
You
we're
dumb
paying
fuck.
for, or people who are younger paying for this stuff to be using people who don't deserve to have it. It wasn't meant for that.
It can't
They don't
continue
deserve it.
how it is.
Sick
or it
fucking
won't probably
freak.
continue how it is. But I think it could be changed rather than just eliminated.
It's like one that's not happening. 2, if it was happening, it's happening with people who are living here, are paying taxes, are working, and do have a human right, whether even if they weren't, still, in my opinion, motherfucker, do have a human right to be able to be an elderly person that does not have to like die serving a capitalist interest. So I mean, these people, they just hate people. That's what it is. I hate people who hate people.
A culture in America at one point where the working class benefited in their senior years after they were done working based on what they put into the system, and now we have a system that you don't need to work and you can get the most benefits. In fact, we can penalize the rich to pay for those that don't work at all.
Kind of
Ooh, I wanna try
struggling,
the
like
bow.
as if maybe I don't know something, but don't you have to pay into Social Security to get it? So the notion of people just getting it for free, I'm not.
Do you just get
quite-
5
feels like
shots
a
with
talking
it?
point, but maybe you know, that's not. I wouldn't have come in here and said,
That's
"Oh, Social
unfortunate.
Security's going to work for you."
We've had neighbors who've gotten on Social Security and they got on the premise either mental illness or they couldn't hear. Once they get the hearing aid in, or kind of hearing aid they got to fix the problem, they could hear fine. They still have to go back to work. They still got on Social Security. So it's becoming a handout benefit.
I don't know about.
Dude just has his personal vendettas that he just wants federal policy to reflect. I don't like my neighbors, and I think they should be punished. Like, dude, fucking narc, bro. Just a narc mentality. Meanwhile, this dude is he's a landlord. I guarantee this dude's a landlord. He doesn't work a day in his life. He just owns a bunch of property and thinks he manages property, you know, from his phone while he's playing golf. And he sees his neighbors who you know, work for like moving shipments at Amazon, who got hit in the head by a faulty like you know, a faulty forklift and got permanent hearing damage because of it. And he's like, they should get back to work. I hate them. He just has no idea what the actual story is. He's probably totally twisting it. Dude has like a concave skull. That's why you can't hear him. Alright, he puts a hearing aid in his skull hole and now he can hear, so he should... He's sick of this, bro. Hey, Lily.
Increasing it for my generation, like, because it's just not gonna work. There's too many of us, but for somebody who can't go back to work because they're physically just too old, like, we can't leave them behind.
For life as governor and as vice president. And to be honest with you, Nikki, you're my friend, but consensus is the opposite of leadership. When the Supreme Court returned this question to
Forgot
the
about
American
Pence.
people, they didn't just send it to the states only. It's not a states only issue, it's a moral issue. And I promise you, as President of the United States, the American people will have a champion for life in the Oval Office. Can't we have a minimum standard in every state in the nation that says when a baby is capable of feeling pain, an abortion cannot be allowed? A 15-week ban is an idea whose time has come. It's supported by 70% of the American people.
Yes, I, Mike Pence, feel that babies should never feel pain. That is why I'm voting to burn down all of the orphanages, because I think it would make me maybe feel something for once in my life. So I also think we should remove all food banks so kids cannot eat, because again, it might tickle the last remaining serotonin receptor I have in my brain. I am Mike Pence saying this. Hello. Sick. That's crazy. You can't get any more ammo for the bow. Why would anyone pick this then? Unless is it no, because I have explosives. What kind of ammo is it? It just has the 4 shots. Okay. Damn.
But it's going to take unapologetic leadership, leadership that stands on principle and expresses compassion for women in crisis pregnancies. I'll do that as President of the United States.
He called my name, so I want to respond to that. It is in the hands of the people, and that's where it should be. But when you're talking about a federal ban, be honest with the American people. We haven't had 45 pro-life senators in over 100 years, so no Republican president can ban abortions any more than a Democrat president could ban all those state laws. Don't make women feel like they have to decide on this issue when you know we don't have 60 Senate votes in the House.
I just think putting a ban on it right there, to me, seems like a control thing when I think about that. Every baby is a baby, I mean, from when they're conceived, and I don't think you can say 15 weeks is a limit on it. It's a baby.
I don't agree with a blanket ban. You're taking away a lot of choices for people, and not necessarily, in pro of, an unborn child or anything like that. It's still, somebody's going to find a way one way or the other. It's not going to stop happening, and you're putting a ban and you're forcing people into a corner, and it's not going to help anybody.
15 weeks feels arbitrary to me. I actually personally rather that we went back to where there was no government support for it.
Save the child, take the child into adoption. People who can't have children want to have children. Instead of aborting them, killing them, let's change the way we look at life.
I still think it should be at state level. I just don't agree with the whole federal oversight of that. I am a pro-life candidate person, but I also think that Nikki Haley in the debate had a lot of points about consensus, like what are the things that people actually agree on. Like I understand like intellectually that it's a human life and we shouldn't be bargaining with that, but I also think that there are things that people do agree on. Like you don't think a federal ban is where it's at.
I'd prefer to see a federal ban on all murder, including the unborn child as well as our elderly. Any type of murder in my mind should be federally banned.
We would like to see that be lower, that 15-week ban. Put your hands up if you'd like that to be lower still.
That's the
So we want to.
That's the barrier you're never gonna get through with Christians, man, because if they are really true believers, then yeah, it's murder, and there is no there's no way around that. There's no justification for it, you know. That's gonna be the final roadblock that, well, hopefully your more politically uninvolved normie libtards can figure out that this is not going to end well. Like there's no rationalizing with irrational people. You have to just strap them to reality and force them to live in it. You know, it's like, no, that is not a human life. Women are autonomous beings who can decide what may live on their life force. You know, like it's not fully alive yet. It needs the mother, so the mother gets to decide whether she needs it. And it isn't it at that time. It's a clump of cells with the potential to foster into a human life with the love and care of the mother. If the mother does not love and care for the being that got implanted inside of her, then that's, you know, it's really that simple. And we should legislate on such grounds, not on these like, well, it's actually a perfect soul from God that is untouched by the original sin of man in the state of unbirth. Like that's really what it comes down to, right? Is like it's people. I know sometimes it's like an own. I feel like I hear libs say where it's like, and I probably kind of said it myself in some way or another, but to elaborate on it, you know, they claim to care about the life. I was kind of joking about it earlier. They claim to care about the life of the unborn child. The second it's born, it's like, fuck that baby. You know, like no welfare for children, none of that. But the truth is, they have an answer for that in their ideology. And it's that, yeah, like when you're born, you have original sin and you must pay for your sins. And wherever you are in life is like where God put you to pay for your sins. If you are born into abject poverty and suffering, well, maybe you kind of deserve it because you're a human and humans are sinful and wrong. But when you're unborn, you're untouched by sin, which probably has a lot to do with touching a vagina. You know, everyone born has touched a vagina, which makes them forever impure. That really is their answer. You know, that's what it comes down to on a philosophical level. The whole you know, pro-choice, pro-life debate, abortion debate, really just boils down to the Christian ideology of original sin. And I think there certainly is, and this is more of a lived up answer, but I do think it's got some validity. Is there the secondary, and this broadly applies to Christianity, right? This is what Christianity's whole project is controlling women. So that certainly is a part of the debate as well. You know, making sure that women are compliant vessels for male vitality is extremely important to the Christian project. That's whatever the fuck I want.
I'm going to start on this with a show of hands. Do you believe in human behavior is causing climate change? Raise your hand if you do.
Look, we're not school children. Let's have the debate. I mean, I'm happy to take it to start. Alexander, so do you want to raise your hand? I don't think that's the way to do. So let me just say to Alexander this. First of all, one of the reasons our country's decline is because of the way the corporate media treats Republicans versus Democrats. Biden was on the beach while those people were suffering.
Let us be honest as Republicans. I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax. The climate change agenda is a hoax. And we have to declare independence for it. And the reality is, the anti-carbon agenda is the wet blanket on our economy. And so the reality is more people are dying of bad climate change policies than they are of actual climate change.
Dude
Chicken
loves
Little.
it.
You know, it's Al Gore all over again. The sky's falling. Climate change this, climate change that there. It's just another scare tactic to get people upset about what's
What?
going on. You know, maybe the polar bear had their day like the dinosaurs, but
It feels like
Oh my god, dude, you
a
fucking
fake
moron. You know
topic
nothing.
to keep our eyes
You know
off of
nothing. Maybe the
everything
polar bear.
else, like
Jesus
blaming
Christ,
farmers
bro.
and cows
That's such a
for-
hold on. I just actually need to dig into how fucking ignorant that is, because what he doesn't understand, like, yeah, do we care about individual polar bears? Like, as a whole, not really, right? It's you know, like, yes, it's sad. Polar bears are kind of cute and they're cool. I fuck with polar bears. And I don't want to personally. Yeah, I don't think they should have to leave. But the polar bear, as a individual species, is not. It's not the real heart of the problem here. That's not what Al Gore is trying to save. That's not what any climate activist is personally trying to save. It's the idea that if we lose this vigorous, powerful animal of the polar bear, that is an indicator of environmental collapse that will affect us as kind of the bigger, like, the polar bear is an extremely well-evolved creature for its environment, so you know it was meant to, it's hard to kill, you know. So if we are altering the environment so drastically that the polar bears are dying off, that is an indicator that something seriously wrong is going on. I feel stupid that I even have to explain that, but you know, that's where we're at as a country right now. This thing sucks, bro. Look at that. What a day.
climate change when we can ignore the burning of tires in the Middle East.
There's no way we can affect the climate. What it is, it's a money grab for socialism, for socialistic policies, for a one world government to try to take control of people like ourselves who are trying to make a living to control our money.
I believe in climate change. I've always found it interesting that Republicans, who mostly live in rural places and enjoy the environment probably more so than Democrats, don't seem to care about the environment. So I always thought that's interesting. But I do think it's been weaponized and used as a way to push an agenda.
Dude, guys, me, this would be my boy. Like, we could actually be boys. If we were coworkers, like, we'd be, you know, I'd be radicalizing him. We'd be chilling. Like, because it is, like, yeah, like, I think I said this in the last stream I did with the debate when Vivek, his moment. Ignore big, complex, interlocked systems of global climate trends and all that crazy data, like, whatever. All right, that's all really complex. I don't fully understand it. I believe it because I trust that there are people who have that I know enough to know that there's stuff I don't know that other people do know, and I trust that they know it, so I believe it. I trust science is essentially what I'm saying. But we can ignore all that because unless you are well studied in that field, you're not going to have a good grasp on all that big data, long-term trends of global climate going up certain degrees and tides rising certain amounts and all that. Just like the basic anecdotal principle of like the local plastic manufacturing company should not be able to dump its petrochemicals in my water or pump its like unbreathable chemical exhaust into my town's atmosphere. Like, these are the kind of things that you end up being against protections for by being like, oh, they're lying about the climate running going up. We can't, we can't affect the climate. It's like, okay, maybe we can't affect the climate. We can affect like day-to-day life and the protection of like national parks, or at least even better, like protection of your local neighborhood not having to like drink only bottled water because the the local chocolate factory dumped all of its like toxic waste into the water supply. It's pretty. Let's keep it simple. Let's have a strong EPA. Let's have a strong regulation on our environment to protect against that kind of stuff, the immediate stuff, let alone maybe the other stuff will just fix itself. We can just fix the immediate problems. Because and the other, it's like, bro, go stick your mouth around an exhaust pipe and then, give it a fucking gawk real quick and tell me that it's a good idea that we have a ton of that shit just pumped into our billions and billions of tons of it pumped into our atmosphere every day. Like, I don't ignore everything else. Just use your own limited mental capacity and look at that and be like, oh yeah, maybe that's something we should just, try and move away from. I understand that, the entire economy is built on it right now. I don't think anybody's advocating for a strong cutoff except me. But, not seriously. So I don't get the aversion to wanting a cleaner environment, seeing that there's provably toxic exhausts and costs that we pay for some of the modern conveniences we have, and be like, hey, maybe we should just try and do this a better way. Maybe there's actually a cleaner way to do this.
Of limiting the government. I mean,
It just had someone earlier say like, oh, but they're burning tires in the Middle East. It's like, well, you want them to burn tires here. You want to deregulate in a way that would allow these companies to do that here. So is that bad? Like, that's not better, right? You recognize what they're doing there is bad. Why would you want that to go here? Why would you export that behavior? They did exactly the political project you're trying to do in those countries, where a bunch of fucking disingenuous theocrats seized power and do whatever the fuck they want to make tons of money and live easy lives.
The best solution,
while fucking over millions of people.
think for a lot of this is more nuclear power. We are totally against nuclear power for reasons unknown.
I'd say it's being used as a deterrent to try to get our mind, to get our thoughts, to get us like.
What they're trying to do by talking about this?
A scare.
Yeah, so we can hop on board with the electric cars that are catching on fire all over the place. And there's charging stations every God knows how many miles, and hopefully you don't get caught in the middle of the night of a snowstorm trying to get to one.
Instead of fuel, this is the most scared guy on earth. That's what's so funny. They're all like, oh, they're trying to scare us. It's like, well, it's working, obviously, because you're terrified, bro. Like, the news reporting on real things that are maybe kind of scary and should maybe ignite that kind of fear in you to drive change. That part doesn't scare them, but the idea that there's some grand conspiracy of people getting together to scare them with these real things, which they think are not real, that's what keeps them up at night and keeps them in a constant state of terror. And again, that's who's putting those ideas in their head. The exact same mechanism that they're accusing of putting the real, like, there is a level of real news. There are real journalists out there who do real journalism and report on things that are happening and report on scientific findings, who report on data that is being interpreted by people who know how to interpret the data. some of that data is being interpreted in a way that's like, yeah, this is pretty fucked up. There's some bad shit happening. And that's getting reported on. No, I'm not scared of the real thing that has things backing it up. I'm being told by my like piggyback network, they don't do any real reporting. They don't care about journalism. They are there to fearmonger about the real journalists. So that's, you know, it's so obvious. They're the secondary ones. They're coming to the party late and saying, no, all this stuff, they're just trying to scare you. What you should really be scared of is who is they? Who is trying to scare you, and why are they trying to scare you? It's the devil. It's the Antichrist. They're coming to get you. Like, you know, and then these people are like having vivid nightmares that, you know, Christ himself is asking for his you know, this jamoke right here, help to fight this holy war. They're the most scared people on earth. Like, I would be terrified too if thought that, you know, the Lamb of God was being slaughtered before my very eyes.
Who benefits from
the electric cars?
Yeah.
The ones who are pushing it, I guess, are the ones who got stock in this.
Yeah, follow the money, you know?
Climate is like natural and it changes over the years.
Climate, you know what? Okay. She's not wrong there. Climate is natural.
It's cyclical.
Vivek Ramaswamy there talked about it being a hoax. Who does this hoax serve?
Globalists.
Say it.
I don't even know if we really know who. There are suspicions, I suppose.
Some might say to you, well, look at the science. You know, this shows it's an issue. You know, we need to do something about
It's
it.
lies. Well, they're faking everything.
It's not fake. It's very documented. It's very clear. And
These
climate
two
change is happening.
on the
And
corners.
Anybody who's saying
Like,
that,
this is so
there's
embarrassing.
a government conspiracy that's going to benefit from, you know, pushing this agenda, is like, it's already happening.
I think climate change is very real. I think making it political is a hoax.
Now, what this is it's a mocked-up newspaper front page for January 20th, 2025. What is the kind of headline that you would expect to see on the day that Donald Trump is inaugurated, assuming that he wins the election?
Oh, they love
America is great again.
We didn't look at each other. America is great again.
Welcome back.
Anyone can win.
Trump to lead divided country.
It's a miracle.
Trump promises our nation freedom.
Making America great again. Again?
It's January 20th, 2025.
I gotta agree with Hassan on this one. Everyone's a liberal, bro. Everyone's a fucking cringy liberal. They're all BuzzFeeded up. They're all Facebook mom to the max.
What you'd expect to see on this front page, January 20th, 2025, Joe Biden is president.
Biden begins second term with record number of senators.
Not too old? ? Exclamation point.
America votes for another 4 years.
Will he last another 4 years?
Lord help us.
Buckle up, the rides are going to be rough.
We are doomed.
So to try to keep it unbiased, what to do now?
But the Ukraine war, has the funding for that been too high, about right, or too low?
Too high. I'm not convinced it's being used effectively.
Too high. I don't think we can afford it.
Too high, unnecessary.
Much too high, and I'm not sure there's enough accountability for it.
Too high, and would like to see more accountability as to where it's going.
Exactly too high, and I think some of the money is going places we wouldn't want to see it go.
It's too high. I think there's a lot of scamming going on with the money, and look how they forgot about Maui.
Too high, and I don't believe it should be always us paying for everything.
Who would you rather, sitting here, who would you rather see be the victor of that war? Ukraine, Russia, or if you don't care, say you don't care?
Ukraine.
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 Don't care.
Ukraine.
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 Okay. I'm utterly shocked. I thought at least one person. I thought this dude right here. Thought for sure he would say either don't care or Russia. But do we even have a don't care? I mean, we had one don't care. Was he don't care?
Don't believe it should be all.
Be the victor. Say you don't care.
Ukraine.
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 Don't care.
Ukraine.
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 Wow. Okay, so only one don't care. That's interesting.
And go
That's actually really
We
interesting.
need the funding to do it. God, I mean, seriously, this is what they could say, right? So what's your argument back?
It's such a crooked government.
We just have a history of trying to fund the right side that we think is the right side. We look at like Cuba and Castro, and we have a hard time picking winners like that. So we could support Ukraine, but we don't need to be funding their entire military.
Don't forget, there's a lot of Russians in Ukraine that are for that are living in Ukraine. People don't realize that. They think they're all Ukrainians, but there's a lot of Russians who want Russia to take it over.
I just think that America needs.
That would be like, I wonder if he would feel the same way if like Mexico tried to take over like Southern California, because oh well, it's there's a lot of Mexicans living in Southern California, so it's kind of ours. I mean, a little bit, I would root for America, but it's a little bit Mexico's.
To be a little bit more concerned about America.
My heart goes out to Ukraine or any country that's being maybe under the thumb of a larger force, but I think we need to take care of America first.
Is there more than meets the eye to what the government's telling us about UFOs? Or is this all just jokey stuff?
I would have said no a few years ago, but the stuff that the Air Force pilots have seen, I think there is more out there.
I do not think there's more out there.
I think there could be unknown things out there, but I think it's just a smokescreen.
It's possible.
Possibility.
It's possible.
I think so. I think it exists.
I don't think the government's
Hell
hiding
yeah,
it,
brother.
but I believe that there's something out there.
And final question, guys. I mean, I had to ask this as a Brit. What do we think of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle? We did it for politicians. I want a word or a phrase that sums up your view of that couple.
Really love getting attention and then love telling people that they don't want attention.
I kind of think they're losers.
I don't understand what the infatuation is.
I think she's a narcissist.
Nobody cares.
As a fellow Brit, I could care less about them.
Very good, very good. Debbie, I assume you've got no comment, Debbie, because it's so offensive you couldn't possibly say it.
Oh. God, I love breaking points. It's been a while. Let's see what Sagar has to say about the Mexican aliens that are provably not real.
All right, Sagar, tell us what you're looking at.
I'm actually not doing a monologue today, or at least a written one, because in a few minutes from now, the NASA UFO report will come out, and I'll be doing a live reaction, either in this show or probably later on our channel, depending how long it takes to digest. But I did think it would be fun to preview that with a little bit of skepticism, so people do know that I don't accept everything around the UFO topic. You might have seen the internet dominated recently with these images after the so-called unveiling of alien bodies before the Mexican Congress. Let's go ahead and play the video for everybody up there on the screen. Crystal, as you can see, these are basically almost like ET level bodies that have been compiled, have been put together. People who are watching, this is literally was a video
Sagar's
taken directly,
he's not gonna,
from the feed.
It's not that
was
much
there.
of a
And I've actually gotten a lot of
kook.
messages about this. Like, oh my God, is this real? Is this what's actually happening? The bodies, how come nobody is paying attention to this? And listen, guys, this is just a massive red flag for me on every level, aside from the fact that the bodies quite literally look like ET. Let's just give a little bit of a background about the person who is behind this. And once, I don't want to besmirch anybody's character. I'm just giving you somebody's record here. Let's go ahead and put this up there. All of this has really been pushed by a guy named Jaime Musan. He's a Mexican UFOologist. He's got a big YouTube channel. And just off the bat, I can't help but think of one of the most legendary incidents that has happened in the UFO alien world, where he had something called the Roswell slides, and which purported to show a dead alien. And as you can see there, this was back in 2015. He actually had to apologize, admitting that the picture actually showed the mummified body of a child. I would also note that Ryan Graves, one of the pilots who has come forward and talked about his experiences and also the experiences of others about the UFO phenomenon,
this is just gonna be debunking it. I've already seen that.
was present and has now denounced the said incident. Let's put this up there on the screen. He says, quote, after the U.S. Congressional UFO...
Hey, that's me. Dunkin' Donuts take? Alright, let's see. 48 minutes. Jesus Christ, Bosh. Oh my god.
You've seen it.
It's a pumpkin swirl frozen coffee. Who the thought it was a good idea to put this on the menu? Because this drink has 185 grams of sugar in here. How much is it? It's this much. It's
Peepo fat. Everyone, Peepo fat through this.
46 teaspoons of sugar. To give you another perspective, the amount of sugar in there is equal to 14 glazed donuts.
That's crazy, bro. Alright. Never again. I mean, I've never had that drink specifically.
It's artificial flavors. There's 12 mentions of sugar and high fructose corn syrup in here. There's 930 calories and 194 carbs. 2/3 of us are already type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic. If America runs on this, we're
All right, I'm ready. I'm ready
Ah,
for full Michelle Obama Stalinism. I think this should be illegal.
Yeah, I mean, so what we gotta do is we gotta classify sugar as like an addictive chemical, not necessarily ones that we have to regulate like tobacco, in the sense that like I think kids can have sugar, it's fine. It's not like I'm not willing to go that full Stalinist anti-sugar. You know, I like sugar. It's okay. It's an addictive chemical that can be very pleasurable, but that's what addiction is, right? It's like it's something that is pleasurable that stimulates something that wants to be stimulated again because you have that stimulation memory of it being pleasurable, so you come back for more. But when they fill something with more than half the cup being sugar, I mean, for me that's too much. Like that'd be like, to do the tobacco comparison, that's like smoking a whole pack of cigarettes in one, like, you know, giant, like you know, one giant fistful of cigarettes. It's overkill.
And I'm not kidding. This goes beyond.
And that's why I don't do that when I go to I don't go to Dunks that often anymore. When I get like no sugar in it, I do 2 pumps of the sweetener instead of the 3 that they usually do. Nothing else, just black coffee. I use oat milk usually these days too. Nice option to have.
Syntax, man. Humans are so vulnerable to food stuff because we are biologically programmed to eat. And there is no reason on earth that any food has to be like this. Like, there's literally no reason at all. Like, it does not have to be like this. And it's purely because of corn syrup and federal subsidies on the production of corn syrup and corn sugar that allow for, like, yeah, man, let's just make everything delicious by pumping it full of 5 trillion calories.
It's not though. That's the crazy thing, bro. Is like corn syrup is so goddamn sweet. Like it could actually be used in a helpful way. Like you could just put like a gram of corn syrup in something that's as sweet as it needs to be, you know. But what do? They go and overkill it.
Whatever. This is like an actual unironic controversial thing, and I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but this is the trade-off we have to make for Medicare for all, okay? We cannot have Medicare for all and also have everyone be 6,000 pounds because all of our restaurant and food companies are selling us like ultra cheap corn syrup blobs that are delicious.
And that's the reality of it, right? If it was cheaper to make healthy food, they would make healthy food. They do it because they make it so super unhealthy because it's cheaper for them, and it gets people hooked on the pure fat and sugar alone, the pure oil and sugar that they put on this stuff. But it could still be really good food that's not terrible for you, you know, not like just pure poison like some of the shit is, like this much sugar is. They could still make a sweet ass fucking milkshakey frozen coffee drink that does not have to have, what was it, 185 grams of sugar, bro. That's so insane. I did have the ice spice drink, and honestly, I mean, that was probably about that sweet. I couldn't finish it, so I guess maybe I didn't get the full dosage, but goddamn.
And chemically addictive. You know, we can't do that. Look, if you want to be fat, that's fine. God bless you. But I want you to put some work into being fat. What the is with people getting fat, like, accidentally? What the is going on? Like, if you want to be...
Yo, that's a hilarious take. Actually, that's mad funny. You want to be fat. I support you, but you got to work for that shit. How do you just fall into being? How do you accidentally fat? That's great, bro.
That's fine. I don't give a shit. You have a right to be fat. God bless you. Okay, live
True.
your life how you
True
want,
that,
queen
man.
or king or whatever the fuck. Okay, I don't care. But you have to put genetic problem or whatever. Or remember that pic of a pantry that's captioned like it's wild how just everything in here is corn? Thing or go out of their way to get it. Like if a person has like a heroin addiction, I think they will break any law or do anything they need to get that fix, and that treating it like a criminal issue or like banning it or whatever probably. Well, first of all, we're talking
Just a bit, not just trying to ride Bosch content. Here we go. This dude, the guy I always disagree with,
expected, but we finally have a trailer for
whose audio is always very tinny. I hope my
Aquaman,
audio sounds
The
better than
Lost
that.
King,
I honestly can't tell. Hold on. Hold up.
to get that fix, and that treating it like a criminal issue or like banning it or whatever probably. Well, first of all, we're talking.
My shit is so quiet. Just trying to ride Bosch content. Here we go. This dude, the guy I always disagree with,
expected, but we finally have a trailer for
whose audio is always very tinny. I hope my audio sounds better than that. I honestly can't tell. Hold on. My voice audio sounds better.
And all I just want to say is you're welcome, because I talked about it in my Ant-Man book review video, and I said, wow, it's crazy that Marvel could put out this book and DC can't even put out a trailer for a movie that comes out in December. And then immediately they put out the teaser for the trailer. So I don't want to say it's completely because of that, but I don't think it hurt. Anyway, the trailer's out. We know a lot of new stuff about this movie. We're going to go over it. I'm not going to try to spoil bits of the movie. I will talk about like kind of comics this might be influenced by, certain storylines they maybe hit.
What's crazy is that I can't even like watch and react to the trailer.
Really just one plot point that might come up. But besides...
Why not? Yeah, I'll do that anyway. I'll just turn it down a lot. The only thing that's gonna get me to go see this movie is James Wan. I fuck with James Wan. I think he has some really great movies. I think he actually has a huge flair for superhero style movies. I think you see a lot of that in his last movie, Malignant, which I really enjoyed. I want to see more from James Wan, and even not more Aquaman. Probably didn't even need this Aquaman, but I want to see more from James Wan. If this is the James Wan I'm getting, I might have to go see it.
Destroy everything he holds dear.
Some of these visuals are pretty sick.
Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
Oh, what? Oh, it's the teaser. Fuck. Okay, this is...
I was basically unemployed. A wanderer with no home. But now, I'm a husband and a father. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't know how you did it, Pops. My job was a little less stressful than yours. Oh yeah, I finally got a job. I'm the king of Atlantis. 500 million people from every known
I mean, I don't know who was in charge of like stuff. I'm assuming James Wan obviously had a say in it, but they're killing it.
Aquaman and destroy everything he holds dear. I'm gonna murder his family and burn his kingdom to ash.
He must be stopped, or a global meltdown is imminent.
I think I know someone I might be able to help us. Ooh, you look rough. Good job, little brother. High five.
Do not call me brother. I cannot believe you let this happen.
Yeah, well, I hate this job.
True king builds bridges, right?
king builds bridges. We need to find Manta. He's different now. He's stronger than before.
That shit looks sick, man. They nailed the Manta suit, I gotta say. I mean, it's an elite design to begin with, so just sticking to the design.
It's the Black Trident. During King Atlan's time, there were 7 kingdoms. The Trident was a curse.
Let's go. Oh, dude, that looks so clean.
He means to end the bloodline.
That's it's gonna be tough when they, if they do end up rebooting the universe, it's gonna be tough that they actually kind of nailed Aquaman. You would think Aquaman would be the one that would be just laughably terrible, and maybe they could do this kind of Aquaman for the reboot, but it's like, damn, they already they peaked a little bit. I don't know how they're just gonna either have to do the same thing again, just slightly different stories, but
Children in a world without hope. You're not as bad at this as you think.
If you lead, the 7 kingdoms will follow.
I guess they left room with the fact that Jason Momoa's Aquaman is very unserious. They could, in the next one, it could still try and keep some of the same visuals, but make the character more of the serious, noble, more Thor-like almost character. Kind of similar vibes to the Marvel Thor, MCU Thor, I should say. They could go that route, and I think that could work. That's if we ever. I mean, at this rate, I don't know if we're gonna be getting another. If the new DCU is gonna be getting far enough to have an Aquaman reboot. See how things go. This and the executives always get the wrong message, right? Because this movie's probably gonna bomb. This movie's probably not gonna do well. They're gonna start taking the message that superhero movies, they don't sell anymore. It's sad, especially because Aquaman 1 did almost $1 billion. I think it did break $1 billion, which is crazy. I don't know how that happened. I didn't go see it. I think I just missed it. I forget why I never ended up going to see it. I think it came out right after Wonder Woman, which came out right after Suicide Squad, which came right after Batman vs Superman. So I think I was just totally turned on anything to do with that universe anymore by the time Aquaman came out. And then people said it was the best DC EU movie, and I was like, that doesn't care. It doesn't matter to me. All right, but let's see what this guy has to say.
That I'm going to be pretty general. And most of this stuff is new. Some of it we'd seen concept art for. We saw that one clip of him in his blue suit going to what I assume is Orm's jail. And that's really it. It's kind of surprising how little information, footage we had from this. There have been lots of rumors about reshoots and parts of it not being good. But like I've said, and I talked about this a lot, one of those sets of rumors came from someone who said, this movie's really bad. It stinks. It's silly and bright and incoherent. And we were all like, yeah, I know. That's what these movies are. We liked the first one for that reason. So I'm not completely bought in on whatever that person said, but either way, there were a lot of reasons why it seemed like this was not going to come out, or why they weren't going to promote it that much, because maybe they didn't have a lot of faith in it. And, they've started promoting it, so they at least have some faith in it. And the first...
I think the thing is, it has to come out. It's the only movie they got left, before they're left with a lot of unfinished and unstarted projects from this latest landmark strike.
First one of these made $1 billion, so even if they don't make $1 billion again, you do figure, just based on the strength of the original, this will do pretty well, especially in a summer of flops, with Flash flopping for them and Blue Beetle flopping, although relatively, because that was never envisioned as a theatrical release, or at least it wasn't until you know, they kind of retooled it as that. So, you know, it's like that movie was never going to make money because it was originally a Max original movie. So now it's like, well, it didn't make as much money as they had wanted. It's not like a humongous hit, but also it probably turned a profit and they didn't advertise it very much. So it's like, I guess it was better than not. I don't know. But Aquaman was like, out of the 4 movies that were coming out this year, the one that I think, looking at it, had all the pieces together. Like, was successful, had most of the cast returning, most of the creatives were back, and it just was fun. Like, I enjoyed the first Aquaman. I think it was colorful, it was kind of silly, it had that, you know, Pitbull song, and it had that energy, which felt kind of sincere, and in a way that like the original Fast and Furious movies are, and the new ones kind of aren't, where it was like taking itself pretty seriously, besides, you know, him saying like woohoo when he like jumps out of a plane. But even that, like, they didn't play it as much of a joke as just like, this is what.
Yeah, it would be really, if they ever did reboot it, it would just be about kind of reversing that that dynamic where it's like, in this he's kind of unserious, but the movie takes itself a little more seriously. I think they could also successfully have the character be serious and make the movie itself maybe a little more, not unserious, but not taking itself seriously as much, a little more out there. Not, I mean, these movies are out there, and that's where they hit a good balance of being kind of wild, but feeling like a serious world where there are serious threats on the table. What the fuck is this? Horror map. Fuck it.
What this guy is like in this world, and that feels very different from a movie like that, where this is like what this guy is like, but all the other characters roll their eyes all the time. They did a little bit of that though. That's why, like, I don't think Aquaman 1 was perfect. I think it was pretty entertaining. Most people seem to like it. So what do we get from this trailer? It's a lot of visuals, a lot of like exciting, you know, underwater battles. It's still very colorful. It's still got that fluorescent lighting, and I like the look of these a lot. I think it looks really sharp. I watched it on YouTube in a very compressed, like, man, the algorithm just does not do really justice when it comes to things like.
Not saying anything I care to hear. How to pay cuts, stupid. I can't watch this. I'll totally get claimed. What are we doing here? Is this first person? What the fuck? Oh, that's crazy. First person Fortnite, imagine that. Alright, Lies of P.
It's finally
I'm
time.
interested.
Lies of P is here, and it's pretty good. Lies of P, in case you were not already aware, is a Soulsborne take on the tale of Pinocchio, but this time it's set in a dark and dystopian alternative universe where puppets were invented to make the lives of their owners all the more carefree and easy. However, no paradise lasts forever, and neither did this one. Eventually, all the puppets succumbed to what was known as the puppet frenzy, where they all turned on their owners and masters. The remnants of this destruction can be constantly seen as you explore the game, and the environmental storytelling involved with this is exceptionally well done. Paired with all of this is an incredibly robust combat system, stellar graphics, near perfect technical performance, and some phenomenal music and sound design.
It is just
leads
fucking.
us to a stance where we're just left looking at Lies of P and realizing it is a fantastic
just Elden Ring,
game
Dark
from a
Souls.
relatively unknown studio. And while it has some eccentricities and things that I hope get patched or fixed in a sequel, I still think this is a fantastic game and one of the biggest surprises of the year, which is really saying something because in and of itself, this year has been packed with some fantastic games. Lies of P isn't perfect, but it is really, really good and without a doubt worth checking out. In this review, I'm going to go into detail over a couple of the things I think are really, really good and a couple of other things I think could be improved without spoiling anything, so rest assured I'm not going to show you anything that will harm your experience with the game when you try it either on Game Pass or on any of the other consoles or platforms that it's launching on. As always, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the video and you want to see more reviews, because subscribers are the only thing that give my life validation, so that would be good, right? It's like a YouTuber asking you to subscribe. It's just like, yeah, daddy, love me. But with all that said, let's get into it. Now, I played the demo back when they released it earlier this summer, and after experiencing a few hours in Krat, the city in which the game is set, I was already sold on the core mechanics of the game. However, we've seen before that just because a demo is good does not mean the final product will necessarily also be good. So I was very excited to see what the final game had to offer, and it was largely what we expected. As I mentioned earlier, this is a Souls-like game with your standard action RPG elements, stat-based progression and leveling, interwoven level design, and at times overwhelming difficulty. These games are often defined by their combat systems, which is why it's wonderful to report that they've managed somehow to maintain a high level of complexity and balance even at higher levels later in the game. While the leveling system won't be anything new to veterans of these types of games, the weapon customization system is super cool and relatively novel. Being able to swap out blades and handles for different stat effects or movement sets was pretty cool, but I do have to say that while it's fun to experiment in the early hours, I don't think it's as viable as simply picking a weapon you are comfortable with and upgrading it over the long term. You see, every time you take out a big boss, you get what is basically like in Dark Souls or Elden Ring, it's like their soul, and then you can redeem that for a really fancy specialty weapon from a vendor that you find relatively early on in the game after about 5 hours. All of these specialty weapons were a good bit more powerful than the regular weapons you would find in shops or simply exploring. This might not have been entirely intentional. It might be something they balance and adjust and tweak over the next couple of weeks as the game comes out and gets balanced in response to everybody playing it, but it did feel as though after you played for a few hours and you really got your feet under you, there wasn't much reason to experiment with the weapon customization system, which is for me a big bummer because it's really cool on its face. It's just not as practical or as viable as getting a really powerful specialty weapon and then becoming an expert in that. In fact, by the time I reached the half point of the game, I had settled into the use of 2 to 3 weapons that I would swap between depending on the enemy type, because some enemies have weaknesses to fire, others to electricity, and others don't seem to have any clear weaknesses, in which case I usually would just use a more powerful slashing or blunt weapon to deal quick, high damage without any specialty effect, especially because you can apply status effects using grinders onto the blunt or regular weapons that don't have elemental effects already built within them. Now, it's also important to note that depending on the weapon archetype, they will have different moves and attack timings associated with them, so players will be very well served experimenting with what they like and what they want to specialize in.
I don't know. I'd try this game, but I don't know if it's gonna be for me.
Wrench is a little jarring.
These games are just, I just don't have the patience.
During a boss fight, where sometimes the first phase of the boss will be particularly weak to one type of elemental damage, but the second
You'd have to
phase
show
will
me
be
something that it offers that something like Elden Ring doesn't. 'Cause it's like if I do have to scratch that itch to play one of those kind of games, like I'm just gonna go back to Elden Ring because I still haven't even really fully scratched the surface on what that game has to offer. So unless it's doing something a little different, which sounds like it's not. It looks exactly like it. I mean, I guess some people say it's more like Bloodborne than Elden or Dark Souls, but I don't really know what the difference is, and it's not. I mean, I would like to play Bloodborne. That looks really interesting, but this game may be like it, but it's not it. I'm getting bored of this now. It's cool to be in first person, but what are we doing here? Spooky. Oh shit, he died. No, he just left. He's bored. I feel you, bro. I feel you. I'm thinking about it. I better do something interesting soon, or I'm out. Ay. Some of these just kind of make me like nauseous to look at too. Something's off with like the FOV, or I don't know what it is. Bro, I can't. Yeah, I'm done, bro. I'm out. Peace. Stream too. Yeah, breaking points.